much that in our poverty, in our hell, I'm going to come and deliver the broken, destroyed, messed up, poor, impoverished people. I'm going to.
Young niggas ain't tough. Young niggas ain't tough.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Brakatah. Yahweh Shema Allah Bashim Yahushua to all the sisters, man. Listen, it's Captain 13,000, the card of a rhyme, checking in with the Israelite School of UPK under Commander Junior Hunt. Listen, man, this year's 52nd annual Passover. Hold on, I'm gonna say it one more time. This year's 52nd annual Passover under Commander YAHANNA under the I.S.U.P.K. Couldn't do it last year. Y'all already know the Lord had his foot on our oppressor's neck.
Here in New York City, there are roughly 1,000 cases a day. Those are numbers they haven't seen since May.
Can't do it in New York this year because the Lord still got his foot on our oppressor's neck.
New York, the center of the outbreak this spring, is now teetering on another deadly explosion of the virus.
But listen to me good. This year, 52nd annual Passover, April 24th, 2021. You understand? It's going to be in H-Town, baby.
It's going to be at the B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
2021 I.S.U.P.K. 52nd annual Passover. All the generals gonna be there. All the heavy hitters gonna be there. The daughters of Zion gonna step out with their beautiful long dresses, you understand? Strong on deck. That One West style music on deck. 52nd annual Passover.
B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Get with it to get lost, man.
Got it out the mud, straight up out the base. The world done made me crazy. The world done turned crazy. You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I'm siding with the Lord of course. On one accord. We ain't never stopping now. You running now. All my niggas go to ground. We go.
Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Brakatah. Yahweh Shemal Ladon Bashim Yahushua to the sisters. I'm Prince and Captain TITHES with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, telling you to come out to the 52nd annual Passover under Commander General YAHANNA. Yeah, man, it's going to be at the ranch, man, the BH Ranch. And it's going to be a glorious event. April 24th, come out, come to Houston, Texas, where we going to serve the Lord the way he's supposed to be served. You understand? We're going to celebrate the destruction of our enemy in the BH Ranch, and it's going to be a glorious event. Make sure you come out, man. It's going to be a $200 fee to get in, but let me tell you something. You're going to enjoy yourself. This is going to be the best event you've ever been to in your life. So I'm going to tell you, man, 14149 Players Street, come out, man, and enjoy the brotherhood and sisterhood under Christ. With that, shalom.
If you can hear me, type a 1 in the chat, Barbara Shaw. If you can hear me, type a 1 in the chat. We're going to get it straightened out in just a second. There we go. Most High Christ. Salakia for the technical difficulties. Salakia. You understand? If you're just now tuning in, we are at 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 24. We just read it in the Hebrew because that's our custom. You understand? We are Israelites according to the Bible. You understand? And our original language is the Hebrew. So I know y'all hear us do that babbling and hush, you understand? When I first came in and I heard brothers pounding up, yabba dabba do, you know, like, what is the cat saying? Well, what it sounds like gibberish to you is really our ancient language. And that's what we learn and teach in here, the Hebrew, because that's our original language. Before we came to America, you do know we had a language of our own, right? You understand? You do know English is not our original language. So before you cats be out there and laugh at what you think is ignorant, because you're ignorant, we are really coming back to real black culture. You understand? And that's what we teach in the I.S.U.P.K. Black people coming back to their culture according to the Bible. And right now, we just read it in the Hebrew. We had 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 24. We're going to read it in the English. All right, Salaki, go ahead.
1 Kings chapter 22, verse 24. But Zedekiah, the son of Chana went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek and said, which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee? And Micaiah said, behold, thou shalt see it that day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. And the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and carry him back unto Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, thus saith the king, put this fellow in the prison and feed him with bread of affliction and with water of affliction until I come in peace.
This is what they have always done to men of the Lord that always told the truth. Now, we just read how Micaiah, shalom, brother, shalom, YAHANNA, good to see you. And hey, the water too, for let's get a sister hand for the food. Food's delicious, man. Water for all the sisters out there in all the different cities that's cooking for these brothers. You understand? It means a lot that you put in your brick too in this service of the Lord. You understand? But right here, we're reading about Micaiah. And Micaiah was a prophet of the Lord. And we read earlier last week how this king wanted to hear counsel on what he should do when he go to war. And of course, all of his advisors, all of his prophets, all 400 of them told him the same thing. The Lord is going to be victorious with you, and you're going to win this war. And of course, the king Jehoshaphat, who's the king of Judah, you understand, he asked the king Ahab, who's the king of Israel, because Israel was split into two kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. King Jehoshaphat was the king of the southern kingdom, and Ahab was the king of the northern kingdom. King Jehoshaphat he wants to go to war with Israel. You understand that the nation is trying to come together and they're trying to go to war together. But King Jehoshaphat is like, you know, let's find out from the prophets first if what they saying will happen in this war. And all King Ahab's 400 prophets and advisors said, oh, you're going to be victorious. And King Jehoshaphat, that's not good enough for him. He's like, well, hell, you ain't got nobody else we can ask? I find it mighty strange. All 400 men is saying the same thing. And then King Ahab was like, well, yeah, there's this prophet named Micaiah, but I don't like him, man. He don't never give me good news. He don't never prophesy what I want to hear, right, which is the spirit of black people today. If it's not what you want to hear, then it can't be true. Right. Black people believe in God until you say God hates sin and he hates the sinner. Black people believe in Christ until you tell them Christ is black and Christ didn't come for everybody. Well, really, because we're not supposed to be following religion anyway. Then it's all type of excuses. Everybody believes in this until we really pull out what this says. You understand? Because what this says cuts bone and marrow. And the Bible says that. This word is a double-edged sword. Right here, Micaiah, he told King Ahab that you are not going to be victorious in this war. And of course, whenever wicked people hear the truth, they hate the person that the truth comes from. That's why the UPK is so hated. That's why our Passover was tried to be stopped. That's why people come up against us at camp, because that truth that they hear unsettles the demon that's what's inside those people. You understand? So right now, they put Micaiah in prison for telling the goddamn truth. That sound familiar? Right. That's what they did to Christ. What did Christ say when he was put in prison and he was afflicted? What did Christ tell his disciples? Read the precept. You got to know this because this pertains to us, his disciples today. Of course.
When they persecute you, know that they hated me before they hated you.
Give him a hand. Also a hand. That's why he up here. That's what Christ said. If they hate you, just know that they hated me first. You understand? Because they're going to hate us. Because they hated Christ. They hate the truth. Our people love to be prophesied lies. Our people love lies, man. That's why the churches are filled. That's why the fake Israelite groups are filled. Because wherever there's lies, there people want to be there. You know, in the world, I want to hear lies too. I remember the brother was playing the videos for me, and I'm like, I'm trying to get high, man. Turn that off. Why would I want to hear? You can't. God doesn't want you to get high when I'm trying to get high. You know, it goes against what my flesh wants. But anyways, not to go off. Go ahead, Micaiah.
If I could. And what Jehoshaphat was doing is in the spirit, because whatever we do, we should get guidance. Especially when we're young in the truth, we don't know no better. You know, that's why the scripture says we need to be born again. We don't know what's the difference between right and wrong according to the scripture. So whatever we do, we need to go and actually get counsel for it. Not just the big things, you know, the life altering things, the little things, because those little things add to something, you know, bigger. And once we actually get that, you know, once we get seasoned in the truth, it's not as necessary as needed, you know, for those little things. But once we need to ask, you know, we need to get counsel. Hey, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I wear this? What time should I go to bed? What time should I wake up?
Who should I marry this sister? Should I marry this brother? And what Micaiah just said, also Micaiah just said, is in the scriptures. Where there's a multitude of counselors, there's safety. You understand? Like getting counsel is wisdom and it's safety. You understand? But let's keep reading.
Verse 28. And Micaiah said, if thou return at all in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me. And he said, hearken, O people, every one of you. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and enter into the battle, but put on thy robes. And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into the battle.
Most High Christ. Up here, imagine it means to stand. To God present yourself. Good, switch out with brother.
Kagar Maf, Banya Howda, Banya Shala.
Kagar Maf, Banya Howda, Banya Shala.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Brakatha.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Brakatha. If you could, yeah, slide that more so in the front. Yeah, speak. And that's the walk. Up here, Yeshabia, which means be seated. We're going to pick up where we left off. We are at 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 31. We're going to read it in the Hebrew first. Whatever you got to go out.
Verse 1 Kings chapter 22. Sorry, 1 verse 22. Wayamar, Ataza'a, Wahayetaya, Rawak, Shakar, Papayas. 22.
No, you're reading verse 31. It's chapter 22 and 31.
And verse
31.
31.
Yes,
Wamalak, Aram, Tazawa'a, Sharaya, Kavaka, Ashar, Lawa, Shalashayim, Rashanayim, La'amar, La'a, Dalakamaru, Katan. Oh, sorry, that's right. Katana.
That sounds right.
Katana. Ra'a. God of War, Kaya, Malak, Yashara Allah, Labadawa, verse 32, Wayahaya, Kara Awa, Sharaya, Haraka, Yahweh Shapat, Wahama, Rawa, Aka, Malak, Yashara Allah, Hawa'a, Wayasara Wa, Ila Yawa, Lahalakam, Waya Zaik, Nahawa Shapat, verse 32, Wayahaya, Kara Awa, Sharaya, Haraka, Kaya, La'ah, Malak, Yashara Allah, Hawa'ah, Wayashawa Bawa, Ma'a Karayawa, verse 34, Wa'ayash, Mashak, Bakwa Shah, Latamawa, Wayaka, Kaha, Malak, Yashara Allah, Bayan, Hadaba Kwayam, Wabayan, Hashabayan, Waya Amar, Laraka Bawa, Hapak, Yadak, Wahawataza Yaanaya, Mana, Hama Kwana, Kaya, Hakala Yataya, verse 35. Wata Alia, Hamala Ma, Mahas, Bayawan, Hahawa'a, Wahamala, Haya, Ma'ai Ma, Bama Rakaba, Nakak, Aram, Wayama, Ma'ayu Ba, Wayataza, Dama, Hamaka, La Al, Kayak, Haraka, verse 36, Waya Ibar, Harana, Bama Kana, Kaba, Hasha Mash, La'amar, Ayash, Al, Ayarawa, Ayash, Al, Aratazawa, verse 37, Waya Amar, Hamalak, Waya Wa'a, Shamarawan, Wayaka Barawa, Hamalak, Bashama Rawan, verse 38.
That was it. Both side cross. Now we're going to read it in the English. We had 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 31.
Sorry. 2 Kings chapter 22, verse 31. But the king of Syria commanded his 32 captains that had ruled over his chariots, saying, first, neither was small nor great. Fight neither was small nor great, save only with the king of Israel. And it came to pass, when the captains and the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said, surely it is the king of Israel. And they turned aside to fight against him. And Jehoshaphat cried out.
So right here, the king of Syria said, listen, man, he wants the king of Israel. That's what he wants. So he told, this king of Syria is telling his men, don't fight, you know what I'm saying, the big cats and small cats. That's not what we really here to do. He said, when you see Jehoshaphat, fall on him. And so now all these Syrians is fighting Jehoshaphat, and he crying out. I can imagine how that sounds. You understand? Keep reading.
Verse 33. And it came to pass, when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, that they turned back from pursuing him. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Wherefore he said unto the driver of his chariot, turn thy hand and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. And the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at even. And the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. And there went out a proclamation throughout the host about the going down of the sun, saying, every man to his city, and every man to his own country. Verse 37, so the king died and was brought to Samaria, and they buried him in the king in Samaria.
So what happened here is they thought King Jehoshaphat was Ahab. You understand? They wanted the king of Israel, who was King Ahab. King Jehoshaphat was the king of the southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah. So when they realized Jehoshaphat wasn't Ahab, they stopped following him. They stopped fighting him. It's like, no, that's not him. That's not him. And then they went to go find Ahab. And they found him, shot a bow and arrow at him. He got wounded. And eventually he died from that wound, from the bow and arrow. You understand? Up here at margin, which means a stand. Barak, present yourself. Let me go.
Barak ban Yahweh ban Yasha'Allah.
Barak ban Yahweh ban Yasha'Allah.
Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shabrak
Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shabrak. Up here, Yeshabu, which means be seated. We have 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 38. We're going to read it in the Hebrew first.
Verse 38. Y-A-H-A-P-K. Harakah al Barakath Shamar Wan Waya Lakwa Hakal Bayam Ath Damawa Wahazanwa Rakatazawa Katabar Yahweh Ashar Dabar. Verse 39. Wayathar Dabaria Aka Abba Wakal Ashar Aisha Wabayath Hashan Ashar Bana Wakal Ha'arayam Ashar Bana Halawa'a Hama Kathawabayam Ar Sapar Dabaria Hayamyam Lama Lapya Yasha'Allah. Verse 40. Waya Shaka Aka Abba Ain Abathyawa Waya Malak Akazaya Hawa Banawa Thakath Yawa. Verse 41. Waya Hawash Waya Hawashapat Bun Asa Malak Ar Yahawada Bashanath Arubai La'a Ka'aba Malak Yasha'Allah. Verse 42. Waha Washapat Bun Shalashayam Wakamash Shana Bamalakwa Wa'ai Sharyam Wakamash Shana Malak Baya Wawash Shalom Washam Amawa Izawaba Bath Shalakaya. Verse 43. Wayalak Bakol Darak Asa'a Abayawa La'a Saul Mamanawa La'ai Shawath Hayashar, Ba'ai Yanya, Yahweh, verse 44, Akar, Habamawath, La'ar, Sawawa, Iwa, Ha'ain, Mazabakayim, Wama Kasarium, Katarium, Baba Mawath, verse 45.
Now in the English, we had 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 38.
Verse 38. And one washed the chariot in the pool of Samaria, and the dogs licked up his blood, and they washed his armor according unto the word of the Lord which he spake.
Now remember, who said this was going to happen? The brother they put in prison. The prophet that they said was prophesying evil. And what he said came to pass, because what he said came from the Lord. And they put him in prison and tortured him for saying what the Lord told him to say. Which lets you know, if you are not willing to lay your life down for this profession of being a priest and prophet of the Lord, you might want to reconsider. It's okay to be just a student. Even brothers that got rank, it's okay to say, Salaki, sir, I've reassessed and reevaluated some things, and I just want to be a student. It's absolutely, listen, I'm serious. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Brothers have done it before, and them brothers are honorable for understanding that this is what they should do. Because once you understand what this really is, you signed up for, to be a priest and prophet of the Lord, brother, at any given time, you could have to lay your life down for this truth. Right. You wouldn't be the first to do it. You wouldn't be the first to get locked up and persecuted and killed for preaching the truth, for teaching the truth, for saying what's right. We living in a time period where if you say, God is against homosexuality, you damn near get charged for a hate crime, depending on what setting you in. This is the time period we live in, and this is the time period that has always been. Hatred for the prophets, you understand? But what he said was true, and it came to pass. King Ahab was put to death on the battlefield, and his blood was spilled the same way he prophesied would happen. You understand? Keep reading.
Verse 39. Now the rest of the acts of Ahab, and all that he did, and the ivory house which he made, and all the cities that he built, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Ahab slept with his fathers, and Ahaziah his son reigned in his stead. Verse 41. And Jehoshaphat the son of Asa began to reign over Judah in the 4th year of Ahab king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 25 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was I.S.U.P.K, the daughter of Shalhab. Verse 43. And he walked in all the ways of Asa his father. He turned not aside from it, doing that which was right in the eyes of the Lord. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away, for the people offered and burnt incense yet in the high places. Verse 44. And Jehoshaphat made peace with the king of Israel.
So now you're reading about the two differences in the kingdoms. When our kingdom split into the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, you're going to see why the Native Americans and the so-called Hispanics end up in this land before we were. Because when they split into the northern kingdom, they went and followed after the wicked kings that they had, which caused them to do wrong in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord took them into captivity, while Judah, Benjamin, and half of Levi was still following the laws, statutes, and commandments. Eventually, you find out that we suffered the same thing that our brothers suffered, because we end up going off too. It's just that they went off before we went off. That's all. You understand? So that whole schism in these fake Israelite groups, where it's like, oh, well, the North, the Gadites and Hispanics is more wicked than Judah, and this and that, because y'all, that's garbage, man. Because we end up doing the exact same thing our brothers did. We just did it later. You understand? And we paid for it. You understand? That's why you had the transatlantic slave trade, the Roman sack in Jerusalem in 70 AD. All these things happened. Now, keep in mind, remember, when Christ was on the scene, the kingdom had already been split. The people our people that said crucify Christ were the ones who were stayed and were following the laws before, when the northern kingdom wasn't. So it lets you know that we were just as wicked as our brothers in the north. We had more time where we follow the laws of God until we end up going off. You understand? And that's how you have the captivities that we have today that led to today. Sloppy, go ahead.
Sloppy, sir. Comment in the chat.
Go ahead.
Sister Angela Ruiz. So you the reason why she in class house.
Oh, Most High Christ. Most High Christ. Listen, man. And I'm gonna help you, sis. The Lord is the reason why you in class. You understand? Not me or not any brother. Just like I always say, Captain Shot and General Muhammad is the reason why I'm in the truth. When you really understand things, the Lord is the reason why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Through them, but nevertheless, it's the Lord. Because the scripture tells you the Lord is the one who picks and chooses who comes in here. You understand? You can like how somebody sounds all day, but it's the Lord that allows you to hear the truth and to come in here. That's just what it boils down to, you know? With that, is that the end of that? Yeah. With that, I say Amaju, which means to stand. No. Young man, Dwayne, present yourself.
Young man Dwayne, Bon Yahawada, Bon Yashala.
Young man Dwayne, Bon Yahawada, Bon Yashala.
Yahawah Sham, Yahawah Shah Rakatah.
Yahawah Sham, Yahawah Shah Rakatah. Up here, Yeshabu, which means be seated. We're going to pick up where we left off. We are at 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 45. If you could, B'Quash, just read this first verse.
1 Kings chapter 22, verse 45. YAHANNA, Yahah with Shabbat. I.M.A, Malak, Yasha'Allah. Verse 46. Wayathar, Dabaria, YAHWH, Waga, Bawa Rathawa, Ashar, Aisha, Wa Ashar, Nalakam, Hala'a, Hama, Katha, Wabayam, Al, Sapar, Dabaria, Hayamya, Lamalakia, Yahawada.
Verse 47. Wayathar, Hakodash, Ashar, Nasha'ara, Bayamaya, Bayamya, Asa, Abayawa, Ba'ira, Man, Ha'arataza. Verse 48. Wamalak, Ayan, Ba'adawam, Natazab, Malak. Verse 49. YAHWH, Aisha, Anayawath, Tharashayash, Lalakath, Awapayara, Lazahab, Wala'ah, Halak, Kaya, Nashabara, Abba Yawath, Ba'itazayat 1, Gabar, verse 50, Azah, Amar, Akaza Yahweh, Slack it, Akaz Yahweh, Ban, Aka Abba, Al, YAHWH, Yalakawa, Slack it, Yalakwa, Ibadia, Ain, Ibadiaka, Ba'a Nayawath, Wala'ah, Abba, YAHWH, verse 51, Waya Shakab, YAHWH, Ain, Abatha Yahweh, Waya Kwabar, Ain, Abatha Yahweh, Ba'ayar, Dawudah, Abu Yawah, Waya Malak, Yahweh Ram, Banawa, Thakathua, verse 52. Now we're going to read it in the English. We had 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 45.
1 Kings chapter 22, verse 45. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat and his might that he shewed and how he warred, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Verse 46. And the remnant of Sodomites, the Sodomites, which remained in the days of his father Asa, and took out of the land.
Right here, so the remnant of Sodomites that was in the land when his father, King Asa, was ruling, he got rid of them. He got them out the goddamn land. We'll show you how this brother was staunch for the Lord. You understand? Like, not only did he want to follow the Lord, but he wanted everybody that it was in the land to follow the Lord. That's a good leader. You understand? Where you're not only caring about what you do, like Christians tell you. Well, I got a personal relationship with Jesus. God knows my heart. Let's just say that's true. Let's just say God loves you and you so special. Don't you care about what happens to your people? If you really love God, wouldn't you want his people to follow God too? But you'll find out that Christianity is about selfishness, and Christianity does not follow God. You understand? And man, the Lord wants his people to follow the Lord as well. And that's why this king got rid of those Sodomites, because contrary to what the Christian church says, God is against the lifestyle of being gay and lesbian, man. God is against it. And not only is God against it, it's just degenerative to black society. You understand? When you let these type of perversions thrive in the black community, you're going to see a breakdown in morals all across the board. Now you wonder why 2 out of 3 black children are molested. 2 out of 3. The majority of our people have been molested. Now feel that for a second. Meanwhile, the black community, mainly black women, like to parade around these homosexuals like they best friends, and they so funny, and he put on a wig. Black women love, you know who making these videos go viral with these black men put on these wigs and all that? Black women. They the ones that find it funny, because a real man will see that garbage and what are you doing? And scroll next. Black women find it funny when they don't understand those sodomites hate black women. Right. They hate you, sis. If you didn't know that. They absolutely hate you. That's why whenever they get in the fight, they try to beat the piss out of you. I've seen it. Listen, man, right like you ain't see it. When them gay dudes get in a fight with women, they remember they're a man then. Yeah, they man up and beat that sister to death. You understand? With all them nigga muscles. You understand? Because they hate you. They want to be you. They want to be where you are. So they play like they funny, and they be around you, and they violate your kids, you understand, and they talk about you, and they just that whole spirit of homosexuality is just a abusive, violent spirit. Right. And we have to purge it from among ourselves. And not just homosexuality, being a drug addict. You just see what happened to DMX. Lord be with that brother and his family, man. We just seen what happened to him. Drug addiction, being a drug dealer, being a liar, being a cheat, being a goddamn coward, man. Just being weak, you are the same as some sodomite, man. All that has to be purged from among our people, or unless we'll have what we have today. We waiting on justice from some murderer for killing George Floyd. We waiting on stimulus checks when we should be running the earth. This is what we have because we allowed this to be in our people. Go ahead, of course.
Like what you was describing was Christian. Everything you was describing was Christian.
That's Christianity to the T. You right, Quash. That's the church. You can find all those things in church. The church is the house of Satan. And that's why you hear us speak against Christianity in the church so much. We against all religions. Don't get it twisted. But the majority of our people are in Christianity. So that's why we speak against what the majority of our people are in. Because Islam is just as destructive for our people. You understand? They don't tell you how the Muslims is the ones pushing all the drugs. You understand? In the prisons and on the streets. Go read about Mosque number 7 in Philly. Go read about the Muslims in Chicago. How they had a foothold on the drug game. How the hell you supposed to be serving a God and the benevolent Allah and the merciful Allah, and your God teaches you to hate black people and to sell drugs to your own people? Clearly, your God is not the God we should be serving. You understand? It's like, where was we at? We went off a little bit.
1 Kings, chapter 22, verse 47. There was then no king in Edom. A deputy was a king, was king. It's like, verse 48, Jehoshaphat made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion-Geber. Verse 49. Then said Ahaziah, the son of Ahab, unto Jehoshaphat, let my servants go with thy servants in the ships. But Jehoshaphat would not. Verse 50. And Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father. And Jehoram, his son, reigned in his stead. Verse 51. And Ahaziah, son of Ahab, began to reign over Israel in Samaria, the 17th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 2 years over Israel.
Most High Christ. Up here, about you, this means sin. Young man Jose, present yourself.
Young man Jose, Bon, Yahawada, Bon, Yashala.
Young man Jose, Bon Yahawada, Bon Yashala.
Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shah Barakatah.
Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shah Barakatah. Also, too, when it's plural, I can Barakatham. No sweat, no sweat. You too hard, brother. For the sisters, it'll be Yahweh Shamar Alathan, Bahashim Yahweh Shah. But it's plural. Up here, Yeshabian, which means be seated. We are at 1 Kings chapter 22. What verse we watched?
Verse 52.
Verse 52. We're going to read it in the Hebrew first. 1 Kings chapter 22. Let me make sure I got this right chapter. Yeah. Verse 52. Akadza Yahweh Ban Akaba Malak Al Yasha'ala Bashamarwan Bashanath Shabbat Aishara La Yaha Washapat Malak Yahawada Waya Malak Al Yasha'ala Manathayam, verse 53. Salak the water. Shadathayam, the water. Verse 53. Waya Aish, Waya Asha, Hara'ai, Ba'ayanya, Yahweh, Waya Lak, but Badarak, Ibayua, Wabad Salaki, Wad Dub Salaki, Wa Badak Badarak, Amawa, Wabadarak, Wawabaim, Bun, Nabat, Ashar, Ha-Kataya'a, Ath, Yasha'ala, verse 54, Waya Ibad, Ath, Ha-Ibala, Waya Shathak, Waha, Lawa, Waya Ka'asa, Af, Yahweh, Alahaya, Yasha'ala, Kaka, Ashar, Aisha, Abba Yahweh. Verse 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 1. Waya Pasha, Mawa Abba, Ba Yasha'ala, Akaraya, Mawat, Akaba, verse 2. Waya Pala, Akaza, Akazyaha, Ba'id, Ha-Baka, Ba'al Yathaw, Ba'al, it's like a Ba'al La Yathaw, Ashar, Bashamarwan, Wayakar, Wayashalak, Mala'akim, Waya'amal, Alaham, Lakawa, Darash, it's like it, Darashawa, Baba'al, Zabawa, Alahaya, I-Quran, it's like I-Quran, Akyaha, it's like, yeah. Micaiah, Zahab, verse 3. Wa Mala'ak, Yahweh, Debar, Alahaya, Hatha Shabaya, Kwam, Ilah, La Kora'ath, Mala'akya, Malak, Shamarwan, Wa Debar, it's like it, Alaham, Ha Mabalaya, Ayan, Alahayim, Bayasha Allah, Atham, Halakam, La Darash, Baba'ar, Zabawa, Alahayim, I-Krawan, verse 4. Okay. Walakan, Ka, Amal, Yahweh, Hamata, Ashar, Al-Yatha, Sham, La'ah, Tharad, Mamana, Kaya, Mawath, Thamawath, Wayalak, Alahaya, verse 5. Wayashawabwa, Slaki, Wayashawabwa, Hamala'akyam, Al-Yawa, Waya'amal, Allah-Yaham, Ma, Zaha, Shabbatham. Now we're going to read it in the English. We have 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 45. Verse 52, Slack the water. Verse 52. 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 52.
Verse 52. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of his father, and in the way of his mother, and in the way of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. Verse 53. For he served Baal and worshipped him, and provoked to anger the Lord God of Israel, according to all that his father had done.
Now we're reading about now. We just read about how King Ahab, he was killed in battle. And now his son took over his spot. And his son was just as wicked as his father. You're going to find out this is what we're reading about. And it goes on in the black community today. They call it in the Christian church, or you know it as generational curses. Well, my father sold drugs, so I'm going to sell drugs. My father was a pimp, so I'm a pimp. You know, and it was sad now because you're going to hear a lot of brothers in the next 10 to 15 years. My father was gay, so I'm gay. You know, you read about what happens, which should tell you what we do impacts our children and their children and their children. And lo and behold, you'll find out. You'll come back in your family line to a crackhead mother and a gay father because of what you did. You don't want that. You should change how we are now. Right. Where our kids will be a generation that never known sin. You understand? That's why the truth is so heavy, because we raising kids that will never know the horrors that we know. Right. They never know the oppression and the struggle and the pain and suffering that we've known. They'll know pain and suffering, but at least we can say they won't know the pain and suffering that I know. They won't know the pain and suffering of having to run to the clinic and get that shot, ooh-wee, because it's burning when you pee. They won't know that suffering, because you'll teach our kids, thou shalt not make a whore of the daughter of Israel. You understand? Don't sleep with whores. Our kids won't know the suffering of running to the hospital because they almost OD'd. You understand? They won't know that, because the Bible tells us, don't get high. Don't sell drugs. Our kids won't know the suffering of losing somebody close to you from black on black violence, because we'll know thou shalt not murder. We're teaching our kids our culture, our laws, so that they won't ever perpetuate the things that we did. They'll have their flaws, but their flaws won't be our flaws. And eventually, guess what we end up doing? each generation will weed out sin. You understand? And lo and behold, Christ is going to be here, and we'll have a kingdom where now we can actually enforce not sinning. Right now, we got to teach our people not to sin in a kingdom that is all for sin. When Christ get here, we're going to be the ones that's going to police our people. People going to call us, like, what's going to be the number? 777. You're going to call down 777. I had to report, I think I just seen a sister down the street bringing some pigs, some pork. I don't know where she got it from, but I think I seen it with some swine. Right. No sweat, sis. Brother teleport there. In my mind, we're going to be able to teleport. Brother teleport to her front door. The priest teleport. We got reports it was swine in here, sis. Oh, no, that's turkey. That's turkey. No sweat, sis. Just making sure. And Christ's kingdom, righteousness will be the law of the land. You understand? In Christ's kingdom, we'll be able to enforce the laws. And the UPK is that right there. To be in here, you have to be able to follow the laws. Like, we don't allow brothers to come in here and to break the laws. You understand? You come in here with your afflictions, but you don't stay afflicted in here.
Right.
It's not the church. You don't come in here and you have all type of afflictions and you get to be comfortable in here. You know what you find out? When brothers come in here, sisters come in here with their afflictions, either them afflictions get the hell out of here, or they keep their afflictions and they get the hell out of here with their afflictions. Either one is fine, but you can't be in here and stay the same. And that's what Christ is all about, changing our people so that we can change society to rule a righteous society. Salakia, keep reading.
The second book of the Kings, chapter 1, verse 1. Then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab, and Ahaziah fell down through a lattice in the upper chamber that was in Samaria, and was sick. And he sent messengers unto them, go inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. Verse 3, but the angel of the Lord said to Elijah the Tishbite, arise, go up to meet the messenger of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, it is not because there is not a God in Israel that ye go to acquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron. Verse 4, now, therefore, thus saith the Lord, thou shalt not come down from the bed, that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. And Elijah departed. Verse 5, and when the messengers turned back unto him, he said unto them, why are ye now turned back?
So now we're reading right here is King Ahab's son, what's his name? Ahaziah. He was just as wicked. And the Lord was not with him. And he fell and he got sick. And Elijah the prophet, of course, the job of the prophet is to always say what the Lord wants to be said. You understand? And he wasn't told Ahaziah, you're going to die, man. The Lord's going to kill you. You're not going to make it. And that's what ended up happening. We're going to end up reading. Was that verse 6? That was the end of it? In the 5? Okay, Most High Christ. Up here, Imagine, which means to stand. I will want you to present yourself.
Abawadia, Bun Gad, Bun Yasha'Allah.
Abawadia, Bun Gad, Bun Yasha'Allah.
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shabbarakatham.
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shabbarakatham. Good reading too, bro. Up here, Yeshavium, which means be seated. We are at 1 Kings chapter 20. It's like, 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 6. But what we're going to do is, in the Hebrew, it goes to verse 54 for some reason. And then in English, it stops at 53. I will find out why it's that discrepancy. But what we're going to do is, we'll just read 54 along with 6 to 12 in the Hebrew. Baba Bashar. So it's going to be 4 and 4.
The next one is 1 through 5, not 6.
Salaka, yeah.
We just did that. We just did
you
that.
We had 63.
So did we skip verse 54 in the Hebrew? Did we read that?
No, you read that.
You read it.
I read it?
Yeah.
Okay, then no sweat then. So we too wide. So we have 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 6.
Come. 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 6. Wayamarwa, Ayawa, Ayash, Alha, Lakora, Athanawa, Wayamar, Alyanawa, Lakawa, Shawabwa, Al, Hamalak, Ashar, Shalak, Athakma, Wadabarthama, Wadabartham, Alyawa, Kaha, Amar, Yahweh, Hamabalya, Ayan, Alahayim, Bayasha'ala, Atha, Shalak, Ladarash, Baba'al, Zabawab, Alahaya, Ikorawan, Lakan, Hamat, Ashar, Alyatha, Sham, La'ah, Tharad, Mamana, Kaya, Mawath, Thamawath, verse 7. Waydabar, Ayaham, Maha, Mashapat, Ha'ayash, Ashar, Alha, La Korowath, Kam, Waydabar, Alyakam, Ath, Hadabarium, Ha'al, verse 8. Wayamarwa, Alyawa, Ayash, Baal, Sha'ira, Wa'azabara, Iwar, Azawara, Bamath, Slakim, Bamathanya, Wayamar, Alyaha, Hathashabaya, Hawa'ah, verse 9. Wayashalak, Ayawa, Shar, Kashamya, Waka Mashayawa, Waya'al, Ayawa, Wahan, Yashab, Al, Ra'ash, Hahara, Waydabar, Ayawa, Ayash, Alahayim, Hamalak, Dabar, Radah, verse 10.
Verse 10. Waya'ain, Alyawa, Wayadabar, Al, Shar, Hamashim, Hakamashim, Wa'amar, Ayash, Alahayim, Anaha, Taradah, Ash, Manah, Hashamyam, Watha, Ahab, Atha, Wa'ath, Kamashika, Watha, Radah, Ash, Manah, Hashamyam, Watha, Ahab, Athawa, Wa'ath, Kamashim. Kamashim what? Salaki. Kama. Shawat. Shayawa. Verse 11. Wayashab. Waya. Shalakam. Salak. Wayashalak. Al you what? Shah. Kamashim. Akara. Waka. Mashat. Mashat Yawa. Waya. Waya Ain. Waya Deba. Al Yawa. Ayash. Ha'al. Ha alahaya. Kaha. Amar. Hamalak. Ma'arak. Radah. Verse 12. Waya'ain. Alahaya. Wayadabar. Aliyahama. Aliyaham. Amar. Ayash. Al. Alahaya. Anna. Salam. Anaya. Sarada. Ash. Mana. Hashamya. Watha. Akal. Atha. Ahtaka. Wa'af. Kama. Shaya. Watha. Rada. Ash. Alahayim. Mana. Hashamim. Watha. Akal. Hathawa. Afterwa. Wa'af. Kamashim. Kama. Shamya. Shiyaba.
Now in the English, we have 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 6.
2 Kings chapter 1, verse 6 in the English. And they said unto him, there came a man up to meet us, and said unto us, go turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, is it not because there is not a God in Israel, that thou sendest to inquire of Baalzebub, the God of Ekron? Therefore thou shalt not come down from that bed on which thou art going up, but shalt surely die. And he said unto them, what manner of man was he which come up to meet you and told you these words? And they answered him, he was an hairy man, and girt with a girdle of leather about his loins. And he said, it is Elijah the Tishbite.
Girt with a girdle of leather among his loins. Right. Well, Quash, if you don't mind, just real quick, stand up, Barbara Bashar. I'm just show you just an example of why the UPK is the home of the truth. Also, too, these brothers, all three of these brothers right here got on fly garments from Barack, young man Dwayne, young man Jose. What you seen is what we do. And what we do is what you see in the scriptures. Like, we don't make up no stuff and just think, oh, these niggas weird. They Power Rangers. Well, nigga, if we Power Rangers, Christ was a Power Ranger and all the prophets. That's well, right. They dressed like a biker gang. They dressed like a dance crew. And I never forget that brother asked me that. I was offended. I'd rather be asking my biker gang. Two young brothers, we in Union Station doing interviews. And he came up and asked me, Officer Thumber Young, two little young brothers, it's innocent, you know. Excuse me, y'all dancers? Y'all dancing like, nigga, little nigga, what? We dancers? What? But, you know, they was really asking us. what they seen was different. You understand? Lets you know the white man has took our culture and destroyed what we know to be real black culture so much that when they see us, it's so foreign. It's like, y'all gotta be into it. This is not normal. You understand? Well, sister, we went out to do interviews in DC, and she said, I like your costume. You know, I had to tell the young sisters, this is not a costume, sis. This is how we used to dress before we were stolen from the land we were in, and then given a culture that's not our culture. You understand? You'll see at the Passover just how fly we can be. Like, y'all think this is weird. Well, you're going to see a lot of fly weirdness at the Passover if you think this is weird. And guess what? While you want to claim to love God and love the Bible, this is how the prophets have always dressed, man. Leather girdles among their loins is the war belt that we wear today. It's the garments that we wear. This is not new. This is, just imagine, this is what the prophets have always done. And we finally taking back our culture. That's why America hates to see us, because we're taking back what rightfully belongs to us. The people that claim to be the Jews today are liars and imposters, man.
Right.
And they bastardize black culture.
And they stink.
And they definitely stink. You understand? Because they don't follow the hygiene. You understand? Because they use the Bible to just be disgusting. You ever wonder why those so-called Jewish man wears black? Anybody know? Because Jeremiah 14:2. The Jews are black. And because they're not black, they wear all black all the time. You understand? You ever wonder why they wear those boxes? You may have to be around the Jewish community to see these things. You ever see a Jewish man with a box with a leather strap around his head? Anybody know why they do that? Kagar?
They don't understand the scriptures of they should put a mark on our forehead.
Right, in our hand.
Right.
They literally put the law on their forehead. When the Bible says the law should be in their forehead, they literally put little small manuscripts in a box, like a little jewelry box, and then put a little belt around it and put it on their head and walk around like looking stupid. You understand? Go ahead, Kagar.
And if I may, that's why like the Bible is like black man, but we talking slang. They take it literal. Like literally, they don't understand it. Like,
exactly.
They look foolish when they take it.
Exactly. I use the example all the time. Just like if I were to say, man, I'm about to head to the crib. I got this bad shorty. We going to the crib, and she's about to ride the wave. We about to get it in. What? What are you talking about? You got a misbehaving short woman. You understand that you're going to take to a baby's crib, and you guys are going to go surfing. Like, I'm confused. But you know who understands me? Us. We understand each other. And that's the Bible. That's why when the white man reads the Bible, they think an actual python was talking to Eve. You understand? They think Eve literally had a nice red one of them apples that's on the counter. She ate an apple because they don't understand how black people talk. When they hear the Lord is 1,000 years is to a day to the Lord, they literally thinking how they think. When black people, what we say, like, man, he taking forever. Man, it's been forever. I've been waiting on you forever out here, man. Or we getting ready. I'll be there just a second. A white man, if we were to write that down, and 100 years later, the white man will read, and this happened in a second. See how fast that is? That's how you know it's teleportation, because he showed up in a second. He said he'll be there in a second. When they understand niggas, like, bro, I'll be there in a second. I'll be there, not literally in a second, but when I get there. Right. These things are important to understand, because without knowing the Bible is a nigga book, you will not understand what niggas is talking about. You understand? The Lord gave this to our people, and it's talking how we've always talked, and it's thinking how we've always thought, and we're doing the things that we've always done. I just wanted to highlight that, because I always hear people make fun of the UPK in particular. They don't make fun of them purple sodomites. You understand what they wear? They don't make fun of nobody else, but they always seem to have a grievance against how we dress. You know why? Because in spirit, they know this is what we've always used to do. You understand? Go ahead, Quas.
Swag, if I could, and when they're making fun of us, they're always referring to us as some sort of superhero.
Right.
We always gotta be some Power Rangers or some Avengers.
Or something masculine.
Yeah.
You notice they don't never say no. Oh, y'all look like choir boys. Y'all look like y'all about to go to church. It's always y'all like a biker gang. Y'all about to hurt somebody. Y'all look like y'all Power Rangers. Like, listen, I'd rather be that than you see me and you see Twan that leads the choir. I'll be that. I'll be that than versus you see me like, oh, y'all like choir boys. Y'all about the same? Yeah, it's a convocation going on. I'd rather look like that than that. You understand? So I'll be the biker gang Power Ranger, dancing. The dancing Power Ranger in the biker gang. I'll be that. You know, go ahead, Philip.
I might be wrong, but I think it's in this book, The Kings, when they was mocking the brother, and the Lord sent 2 bears.
Brother, I believe that it's in here somewhere. But that happened where it was kids. It was about 40 kids. Remember, Israelite kids.
Right.
And they seen the prophet. I believe it was the prophet was Elijah in particular. We reading about him. And Elijah, because he was up in age, was going bald. You understand? And, you know, just imagine black kids. You know, they started making fun of his head because he was going bald. Oh, look at you, bald head self. And they're not understanding this is not the average man you're making fun of. This is a prophet of the Lord. And you know what the Lord did for all you Christians that think God is all love? The Lord took 2 female bears and sent them, and they mauled all 40 of them kids to death. Now, you think about that's the God that you think you're serving when you going and sinning. When you actively choosing to sin, you think about this is the God that we serve, who will send 2 vicious female bears to kill 40 kids. That's why you shouldn't be surprised when you hear about 3-year-old black kids getting killed by a stray bullet in the ghetto. When you clearly don't know the reputation of the God of the Bible. He's a man of war, and he will go to war for his soldiers. You understand? You can't even open your mouth to mock Elijah without the consequences, man. Go ahead.
Consequence. Reset for that is anyone shall offend one of these little ones shall it'll be better to have a millstone tied upon the neck and drown yourself.
Right. Mafia style. That's probably where the mafia got it from. Right. When the mafiosos, they'll put your feet in concrete, let the concrete harden up and toss you in the Hudson River. That's what the Bible is saying. The Lord is saying, if you offend any one of my prophets, my disciples, it would be better for you to take a big stone, a big rock, a boulder, tie it to your neck, and then jump in the ocean and let nature take its course. Okay. It's better for that to happen than for you to offend one of these prophets, because I'll just make something vicious happen. You understand? And that's the Lord. You had something more?
I would rather be called a Power Ranger if they knew the precept, you know, change the twinkle of an eye.
Right.
Those powers.
Right. Listen, all that power is talk is going to be justified when Christ come back and we actually get the powers. Right. Get the Most High hand, because I can't wait. You understand? And Lord allow, I'll make a garment real Power Rangered out too. I ain't gonna have all the colors. I'm gonna be the Black Ranger. So, if I outrank you, you can't be the Black Power Ranger. I'm the Black one. You gotta be the red or the blue one, because I'm gonna be the black one when Christ come back, and they gonna look at us and say, "Look at this. These niggas was always Power Rangers." Like, yes, indeed. You understand? Let's keep reading.
Yeah, verse 9. Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50. And he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill. And he spake unto him, Thou man of God, the king hath said, Come down. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, If it be a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50. Again also he sent unto him another captain of 50 with his 50. And he answered and said unto him, O man of God, thus has the king said, Come down quickly. And Elijah answered and said unto them, If I be a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And the fire of God came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50.
You better understand something, man. Listen, the Lord is with his prophets. And the moment you force the Lord to show his hand, it's not going to be pretty.
Right.
If the Lord got to show you who he sides with, it's going to be a bad day for the people that are not on his side. Which is why I really have so much sorrow for what's going to happen to you fake Israelites. The moment you made up in your mind that you're going to try to stop the Lord's program. Right. I feel sorry for you, because now the Lord has to prove whose side he's on. Right. And anytime in the scriptures the Lord had to prove whose side he was on, you read about how horrible it was for the niggas that went against the Lord and the people he chose. Right. And with Moses, he swallowed up them niggas in the earth. You know what I'm saying? The earth opened up what we know today as like a sinkhole. You read about sinkholes, how the earth just openly collapsed into deep holes. Some of them sinkholes be deep as hell, man. Right. I like to watch some little weird videos on Facebook where they all type of natural disasters. Them sinkholes ain't no joke. And this is what the Lord did to the people that came up against Moses. Swallowed them up in the earth. You understand? The cats that came up against Elijah, smoke killed all of them. You understand? Like, this is how the Lord always does. He sides with his prophets. And anybody that comes up against them, they are an enemy unto God. And the moment you become an enemy to God, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
You know your life. Just imagine a little bit of suffering you had in your own life when you were an enemy of God. Oh boy, it's not good. You read? That's the end of that. With that, I say Amaju, which means to stand up here. Barak, present yourself. Slide. Kadar, present yourself.
Kagar Mouth, Ban Yahweh, Ban Yashala.
Kagar Mouth, Ban Yahweh, Ban Yashala.
Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Brakatham.
Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Brakatham. Also, too, bro, check to see everything's wild outside. Make sure the tow truck. Up here, Yeshabim, which means be seated. We're going to pick up where we left off. We are at 1 Kings chapter 1, 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 13. We're going to read it in the Hebrew first. Okay, we'll slow.
All right, in Hebrew, Wayashab, Wayashalak, Shar, Kamashayam, Shalashayam, Wakama Yahweh, Waya'al, Wayaba, Shar, Hakama Shayam, Hashala Yeshaya, Waya Karai, Al, Baraka Yahweh, Lana God, Alaya Hawa, Wayata Kanan, Alayawa, Wayada Bar, Alayawa, Ayash, Ha'a Lahayam, Dayakar, Na'a, Napashaya, Wanapash, Abadayak, Abadjika, Alaha, Kamashayam, Ba'aya Nayak, verse 14, Hana, Yabada, Ash, Mana, Hashamayam, Wata Kaw, Shania, Sharia, Hakama Shayam, Hara'a Shania, Wa'a, Kama Shaya Hum, Wa'aitha, Toyakar, Napashaya, Ba'ai Yanaya, verse 15, Waya Debar, Mala'ak, Yahweh, Al, Alayahawa, Rod, Awathawa, Al, Thayara, Mapanayawa, Wayakam, Wayarad, Wayathawa, Al, Hamalak, verse 16, Wayadabar, Alahayawa, Kaha, Ashar, Yahweh, Ya'ain, Ashar, Shalaka, Mala'akayim, Ladarash, Baba'al, Zabawab, Alahaya, Aikara 1, Hamabalaya, Ayan, Alahayam, Vayashara Allah, Ladarash, Bada Barwa, Lakan, Hamata, Ashar, Alayah, Sham, La'ah, Tharad, Mamana, Kaya, Mawah, Tamawah, verse 17, Wayamah, Kadabar, Yahweh, Ashar, Dabar, Alayahawa, Wayamalak, it's like Yahweh Ram, Thakatha Yahweh, Bashanah, Shatayam, Laya Hawa Ram, Ban, Yahweh Shapat, Malak, Yahweh Da, Kaya, La'ah, Haya, Lawa, Ban, verse 18. Wayat the Ra, what's like Wayathar, Daba Raya, Akazaya Hawa, Ashar, Aisha, Halawa, Hama, Katawabaya, Al, Sapar, Dabaria, Hayamayam, Saki, Hayamyam, Lamalakaya, Yashara Allah, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. Wayahaya, Bahala Yawah, Yahweh, Allah Yahweh, Basa Ira, Hashayam, so like Hashamayam, Wayalak, Allah Yahweh, Wa La Yashai, Ban, Hagalagala, so like Hagalagal.
What's that? All right. We at 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 13. We're going to read it in the English. Let's go ahead. Show.
He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and smote the waters and said, where is the Lord God of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they departed hither and thither, and Elisha went over. Verse 15. And when the sons of the prophets which were to view at Jericho saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah doeth breast.
Yeah, it's like it. We have 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 13. Second Kings chapter 1. No sweat.
He sent again at the captains of 50 with his 50. And the third captains of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah and besought him and said unto him, O man of God, I pray thee, let my life and the life of these 50 thy servants be precious in thy sight.
This is what you ought to do when you realize the Lord is with brothers. When you encounter a man of the Lord, you ought to be humble, man. You ought to be humble and pray that the Lord shows you some goddamn mercy. And this captain, he hearing about the two captains before him and the 50 men, the 100 men, because it was two sets of 50, were killed by the Lord. And this one had some wisdom. He said, oh, man of God, I pray you view our lives precious. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the mother niggas was talking about, but listen, I pray you view our lives as precious, because he understood that the Lord was with this brother. And if you are outside of the I.S.U.P.K. and you thinking about being an enemy to this school or to the men in this school, you might want to reconsider, because the Lord is with this school. The Lord is with these brothers. You can think to do evil all you want, and you'll just find out that the Lord will just utterly destroy you. Go find out if the generals will tell you, because they don't like to slander the brothers, you understand, because they're so brotherly. But you get to hear some of the stories about these cats that left the school, and you'll just hear about how their life fell apart. How some was killed, some died, all type of craziness. What happened to them? It sounds like things out of a movie. When this is just how the Lord is. Right. The moment you leave here and become an enemy to the Lord, it just is. You never serve the purpose anyway, and that goes for any of us. As great you are and as mighty as you are in here, the moment you leave here, that's gone. We read about what happened to Saul. The Lord used Saul to kill thousands of Philistines and them stinking heathens. Right. And the moment he went against what the Lord said, the Lord's spirit departed from Saul. Right. And after that, the evil spirit took its place. You know what I'm saying? John the Baptist. You know, Elijah is later John the Baptist. Mm-hmm. We read about all the great works. The Lord killed 40 children for Elijah, who was reincarnated as John the Baptist. And John the Baptist offended a man of God, Christ, And Christ said, you'll be the least in the kingdom of heaven. Now feel that for a second. No matter how great you might think you are, you better keep yourself really humble and know that you are replaceable. All of us are. This is the Lord's program. You understand? We on a train that the driver is not, of this world. You know what I'm saying? We don't need you on a train. Right. The Lord will just kick you off the train, and somebody in the back will just come and sit in your seat. And he will appreciate being in your spot. I say that to say because Satan will game us up and thinking like, oh, I do a lot for this school. And all the things I did for this play, I didn't sacrifice, and and you get to Satan get the crying and bitching and all that. And when you don't understand, the Lord don't need none of the things you did. And truth be told, he'll just bring somebody in that will show you how useless you were. That's how the Lord worked. Right. And no shame to the brother. Lord be with this brother. But I remember it was a brother in charge of the school in Canada. I remember this. And he was put in charge of the school in Canada, and he decided that he didn't want to fight his demons no more. And he got beside himself, and he left the school. He thought I.S.U.P.K Canada was going to fall apart because he left. And you know what happened? The Lord put a brother in his place that absolutely embarrassed whatever he thought he was going to do. Right. I'll give a hand for Officer 5,000 Abun. If you don't know, Officer Abun is in charge of damn near the Western Hemispheres. Officer Abun got it's like the U.S. military. He got schools all over the place. Canada, Brazil, Rochester, Alaska. Officer Abun. South of what else? Because
you got Brazil. He's doing Colombia. And I believe he's doing and he's doing some other countries down in South America as well.
Stay tuned. He's not done. The Lord listen. The Lord will put somebody in your spot to just make you like, oh, hell, I'm glad he got the hell out the way because this guy is just multiplying greatly. Right. You understand? So don't think you special and you can't be replaced because the Lord, that's how he worked, man. He'll take you out the way and put a cat in here to just make you look like, oh yeah. Hell, this was meant to happen. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, so like I said, for me, for a brother to sit up there and count, or say that what all he did, well, he must be counting everything that he's doing.
Listen, it's women do that, man. Right. So that's a spirit of a woman scorned. You have a spirit of a female. The moment you say, I did this for you, and this and that, and this and that, who gives a damn? Right. You didn't do it for me. You're supposed to be doing it for the Lord, but clearly you was keeping tally because you really didn't love this place like we thought you did. Right. And all that comes out and is revealed, and we're glad you're out of here. You know what I'm saying? Captain Shark gave a great analogy, and I'm gonna start using it. If you go into the bathroom and you go on number 2, and you gotta go, you're not trying to clench the feces, you're not trying to clench the waist in, you're trying to get rid of the waist. Right. I'm trying to get this out as soon as possible. You understand? The Lord is gonna get rid of the waste that might surface in here. You understand? Not saying brothers in here are waste, but the moment you refuse to fight your demons and think the Lord owes you, you become waste to the Lord. Yep. And he'll just dispose of you like waste is ought to be disposed. Salaki. That goes for me and all of us. I'm not saying to no brother. If you convicted, that's the Lord convicting you because I'm speaking to me as well. All of us, man. Salaki, keep reading.
Verse 15. And the angels of the Lord said unto Elijah, verse 14. Behold, there came fire down from heaven and burnt up the 2 captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious unto thy sight. And the angel of the Lord said unto Elijah, go down with him, be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king. And he said unto him, thus said the Lord, for as much as thou hast sent messengers to inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, it is not because there is no God in Israel.
Is it not?
Oh, Shalaki. Mm-hmm. There is no God. Is it not because there is no God in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore thou shalt not come down off the bed of which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. So he died according to the word of the Lord which Elijah had spoken. And Jehoram reigned in his stead in the 2nd year of Jehoram, and the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, because he had no son. Now the rest of the acts of Hazael, which he did, they are not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel. And it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal.
We're going to pick up next week. What we're going to read about right here is for all you conspiracy theorists and ancient alien scholars. We're going to read about how this whirlwind that took up Elijah is what we know today as the chariots. All throughout the scriptures, the vehicles of the angels have always been referred to as certain words. Somebody raise your hand if you know what those words are, the different words that refer to the chariots in the Bible.
One's chariot.
Wheel. So go ahead.
Wheel.
A cloud.
Whirlwind.
These are words that are synonymous with the chariots. You got to keep in mind, our people are describing things that they see it. You understand? So they call a cloud of fire, a whirlwind, a wheel within a wheel. You understand? All these words are describing what we know today the white man calls the UFOs, but really they are the vehicles of the angels. You understand? They operate in the fourth dimension. So all that lie about the aliens crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1959 or whatever year, 53. Right. All that, the United States got a UFO in Area 51. They probably got a UFO, but it's not of the Lord's. It's not the astral chariots, because a chariot, a spiritual being, can't crash. Like, how can a thing that operates throughout the dimensions crash? That doesn't make sense. Right. Even the white man will tell you these vehicles move against the total knowledge of physics. How can something move and then stop and come in completely other direction? Like, the Lord's chariots don't operate by how we understand physics. You understand? Because they are spiritual beings. And that's why when Christ comes back with his army, with those angels and those chariots, they're going to win. There's going to be a slaughter, because the white man thinks he can fight these chariots, when in all actuality, you're going to be destroyed. You understand? These are spiritual craft that are going to materialize in the physical. You understand? That's what we're going to find out. Go ahead, question.
And also, these chariots are also, for lack of a better word, pimped out.
Listen, man,
they ain't no, what you see on TV. It's glorious.
Right. You gotta understand who we're dealing with. The angels are black. Ain't your car? Is your car regular? There's something about your car that's fly, or it's making yours to stand out. The angels are no different. You understand? The Most High is no different. That's who we are as a people, because that's what the Lord made us to be, separate. And you're gonna find out. I wouldn't be surprised if them chariots had just, how we got 15s and 12s in the car. Them chariots probably got 38s and 55s in the chariots. It was super bass. You know what I'm saying? We're going to find out next week about this whirlwind that took up Elijah. And with that, up here only, I imagine. Go ahead. One more verse. We got one more?
Second Kings 2:1.
You read that.
Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah, no sweat. Up here only, I imagine, which means to stand. If you could, cross button for sure.
SHALAM.
Say Amajim, which means to stand. Wapanyahankudam, which means turn and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer first in Hebrew. Repeat after me. Abanau. Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
I.S.U.P.K. Yahweh. Malakutkan. Daba'ah. Ratzayka. I.S.U.P.K. Baratza. Go up. I.S.U.P.K. Bashemayim. Lakum. Cow. Yawam. Wasalakina. Kabawakina. Wala'ah. The
Tabi'ayna. Vanasaya 1. Abal. Hawashayna. Mayan. Right. Kaya. Laka. Hamalakwa. Wahala. Wahatapar. Aman. And in the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. We're going to say, cut the power, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, Baba Kashab, the thunder now. Hakak, Larpa'ab, Kalmakalab, Wakalmatawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, Lahaki, Hamathi, Hakak, Arakawa, Hatama Lagarshan, Bashim Yahushan, the water Aman. And in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, please give us the power, the power to heal, all manner of sickness, and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the leper, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, in the name of Yahushua. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say, bless Israel, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Baraklanau, Wayasha'ala, Wahabayah, Sapari, Barak, Rapah, Magun, Bashim Yahushua, the water Aman. And in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say Psalms 121. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Hahari, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Izari, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Ayathan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Ayanawam, Shamarka, Hanat, La'ab, Yanawam, Wala'ab, Yayishun, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tizalka, Aliyah, Yamika, Yawamam, Hashemat, La'ab, Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makara, Yashimar, Athapashka, Yahweh, Yashimar, Taza'athka, Wabu'athka, Ma'aitha, Wa'ait Awalam, the water Aman. And in the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out, and thy coming in, from this time forth, and even forevermore. So be it. We're going to say Psalms 83. Alahayim, Al-Damaya Lakab, Al-Thakarash, Al-Thashakwat, Al-Yahanna, Al-YAPK, Yahama Yawan, Wamashanayaka, Nasha'awa, Ra'ash, Al-Amaka, Ya'arayumba, Sawad, Wayathayaitazawa, Altazabawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakida, Magawiya, Wala'ah, Yasakar, Shamyasha'al, Iwad, Kaya, Nawa'aitazawa, La, Yakadwa, Alyaka, Baryat, Wayashma'alium.
Mawa'aba.
Mawa'aba.
Wahagarian.
Wahagarian.
Gabal.
Gabal.
Wa'aimawan.
Wa'aimawan.
Wa'aimalak.
Wa'aimalak.
Palashat.
Palashat.
I'm Yeshabir.
I'm Yeshabir.
Tazawar.
Tazawar.
Gum Ashawar.
Gum Ashawar.
Nalawat.
Nalawat.
Imam.
Imam.
Hayawat.
Hayawat.
Zarawat.
Zarawat.
Labunya Lawat.
Labunya Lawat.
Salat.
Salat.
Aishalaham.
Aishalaham.
Kamajin.
Kamajin.
Kasaya Sara'ah.
Kasaya Sara'ah.
Kayabian.
Kayabian.
Banakar.
Banakar.
Koyashawan.
Koyashawan.
Nashamadwa.
Nashamadwa.
Ba'ayan Da'awa.
Ba'ayan Da'awa.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Daman.
Daman.
La Adamat.
La Adamat.
Shayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Nadat Slake. Nadiyamawa.
Nadiyamawa.
Ka'ira.
Ka'ira.
Wakaza Abba.
Wakaza Abba.
Wakaza Bak.
Wakaza Bak.
Wakaza Zalmanai.
Wakaza Zalmanai.
Kalasaya Kamwa.
Kalasaya Kamwa.
Ashar.
Ashar.
Amarwa.
Amarwa.
Nayara Slake. Nayara Shah.
Nayara Shah.
Lana Wa.
Lana Wa.
Ah. Na'awa.
Na'awa.
Alahaya.
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 Shayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Kagadala.
Kagadala.
Kakwash.
Kakwash.
Lapanya Rakat.
Lapanya Rakat.
Ka'ash.
Ka'ash.
Saba'ira Ya'ira.
Saba'ira Ya'ira.
Wakala Haba.
Wakala Haba.
Thalahat.
Thalahat.
Haryam.
Haryam.
Khan.
Khan.
Tharadatma.
Tharadatma.
Wasa'irika.
Wasa'irika.
Wabasa Wapathka.
Wabasa Wapathka.
Sabahalam.
Sabahalam.
Mala'a.
Mala'a.
Panyaham.
Panyaham.
Kwalawan.
Kwalawan.
Wayabakwashua.
Wayabakwashua.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahawa.
Yahawa.
Yabashua.
Yabashua.
Wayaba'awa.
Wayaba'awa.
Aja'ai.
Aja'ai.
Wayakaparwa.
Wayakaparwa.
Wayabadwa.
Wayabadwa.
Wayada'aiwa.
Wayada'aiwa.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Atha.
Atha.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahawa.
Yahawa.
Labaka.
Labaka.
Ayawan.
Ayawan.
Al-Ka-Rataza.
Al-Ka-Rataza.
Wada Aman.
Wada Aman. And in the English, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee.
Have lifted up the head.
Have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They have taken crafty counsel.
Against thy people.
Against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said.
They have said.
Come.
Come.
And let us cut them off.
And let us cut them off.
From being a nation.
From being a nation.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel.
May be no more remembered.
May be no more remembered.
For they have consulted together.
For they have consulted together.
With one consent.
With one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Of Moab.
Of Moab.
And the Hagarenes.
And the Hagarenes.
Cabal and Ammon.
Cabal and Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher also is joined with them.
Asher also is joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kishon.
At the brook of Kishon.
Which perished at Endor.
Which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like Oreb.
Make their nobles like Oreb.
And like Zeed.
And like Zeed.
Yea.
Yea.
All their princes.
All their princes.
As Sabbath.
As Sabbath.
And as Zalmunna.
And as Zalmunna.
Who said. Let us take to ourselves.
Let us take to ourselves.
The houses of Yahweh in possession.
The houses of Yahweh in possession.
Oh my power.
Oh my power.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burneth a wood.
As the fire burneth the wood.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
So persecute them.
So persecute them.
With thy tempest.
With thy tempest.
And make them afraid.
And make them afraid.
With thy storm.
With thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded.
Let them be confounded.
And troubled forever.
And troubled forever.
Yea.
Yea.
Let them be put to shame.
Let them be put to shame.
And perish.
And perish.
That men may know.
That men may know.
That thou. Whose name alone.
Whose name alone.
Is Yahweh.
Is Yahweh.
Art the most high.
Art the most high.
Over all the earth.
Over all the earth.
So be it.
So be it.
We'll say the blessings. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Alahayim.
Wa Alahayim.
Bataza Biyah.
Bataza Biyah.
Alawat Yohanna.
Alawat Yohanna.
Ha Alawapi.
Ha Alawapi.
Ha Sarani.
Ha Sarani.
Ha Kwaziyoni.
Ha Kwaziyoni.
Ha Kwayayoni.
Ha Kwayayoni.
Wa Hakwathi.
Wa Hakwathi.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba Hashem.
Ba
Hashem.
Yahawashi.
Yahawashi.
The what I'm on.
The what I'm on. And in the English, bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahawashi.
And Yahawashi.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yahanna.
Commanding General Yahanna.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahawashi.
In the name of Yahawashi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
We're going to say the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
All things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahawashi.
In the name of Yahawashi.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us.
That speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose.
And shake loose.
The treasure of the rich.
The treasure of the rich.
Of Israel.
Of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nation.
And the nation.
And their drug dealers.
And their drug dealers.
The court system.
The court system.
The prison system.
The prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
The Roman Catholic Church.
The Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Islam. Christianity. Egyptology. Militia. Ku Klux Klan. Aryan Nation. Skinheads. Posse Comitazi. The gay movement. The lesbian movement. Spies. Workers of witchcraft. NASA space program. Army. Navy. Air Force. Marines. Wall Street. Open up the internet. And the airways. The cable access channel. And the radio channel. Convict the spirit. Of any of thy people. That seek to stop us. And bring swift destruction. To all the heathen. That stand in the way. Or try to stop us. From broadcasting your word. Throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro. Through the earth. And consume them. Let the plague. Shake the house of the thief. And the murderer. Let Yahawashi. Michael and Gabriel. Come down with the flying saucers. And punish all the heathen. That come up against us. As we speak thy word. Cause it to be known. By all. That it is the angels. That have done it. Cause it to be spread. Through the media. Throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahawashi. Thank you always. So be it.
And with that, I say, Sar, sister, please be seated. Men of Israel, gird yourself to prepare to salute the Torah.
It's like gird up that loins.
Gird up that loins to prepare to salute the Torah.
Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
So that might Shabbat. Imagine. Barak.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
Salam. No sweat.
Right. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Barak.
Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Barak.
Yashmatah. Sar, sister, please stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sister. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Shema Hashem Yahushua. Yashmatah. Class dismissed.
If any brother would like to get anointed, go ahead.
I'm going to come and deliver them broken, destroyed, messed up, poor, impoverished people. I'm going to save.
Yo, niggas ain't tough. Yo, niggas ain't tough.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. YAHANNA, YAHWH all the sisters, man. Listen, it's Captain 13,000 and called up a rhyme, checking in with the Israelite school of UPK under Commander YAHANNA.
And you know we not no cowards. Oh, you on that?
Listen, man, this year's 52nd annual Passover. Hold on. I'm gonna say it one more time. This year's 52nd annual Passover under Commander YAHANNA under the I.S.U.P.K. Couldn't do it last year. Y'all already know the Lord had his foot on our oppressor's neck.
Here in New York City, there are roughly 1,000 cases a day. Those are numbers they haven't seen since May.
Can't do it in New York this year because the Lord still got his foot on our oppressor's neck.
New York, the center of the outbreak this spring, is now teetering on another deadly explosion of the virus.
But listen to me good. This year, 52nd annual Passover, April 24th, 2021. You understand? It's gonna be in H-Town, baby.
It's gonna be at the B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
2021 I.S.U.P.K. 52nd annual Passover. All the generals gonna be there. All the heavy hitters gonna be there. The daughters of Zion gonna step out with their beautiful long dresses, you understand? Strong on deck. That One West style music on deck. 52nd annual Passover.
B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Get with it to get lost, man.
Got it out the mud, straight up out the base. The world done made me crazy. The world done turned crazy. You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I'm siding with the Lord, of course. On one accord. We ain't never stopping now. You running now. All my niggas go to ground.
Shalom. YAHWH I'm President Captain YAHTEZAK with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, telling you to come out to the 52nd annual Passover under Commander General YAHANNA. Yeah, man, it's going to be at the ranch, man, the BH Ranch. And it's going to be a glorious event. April 24th, come to Houston, Texas, where we're going to serve the Lord the way he's supposed to be served. You understand? We're going to celebrate the destruction of our enemy in the BH Ranch, and it's going to be a glorious event. Make sure you come out, man. It's going to be a $200 fee to get in, but let me tell you something. You're going to enjoy yourself. This is going to be the best event you've ever been to in your life. So I'm going to tell you, man, 14149 Players Street, come out, man, and enjoy the brotherhood and sisterhood under Christ. With that, shalom.